Hello, thanks for joining a new video. Today we are unboxing the POCO F8 Pro. Let's begin. This device has been presented along with the Ultra model, which is even more top, but already from this Pro model we see good sections. In addition, of course, it will be cheaper than the Ultra model. This device has been launched in Mexico in its most basic configuration at a price of 10,299 Mexican pesos. There on the screen you have the reference price in dollars, just to give you an idea. But remember, prices differ here and there. There's also a 512 GB version costing 11,299 pesos. But what about the idea of opening up the box to discover what's inside it? Because as we already mentioned with the Ultra model, we expected it to come in a simpler box, at least this particular unit that is coming from Europe. It's possible that in other countries the charger might be included, but you should definitely pay attention to what your dealer says. For now, please note that we are going to find here the tool that is used to remove the SIM card tray. Here is the cable that comes with both USB-A and USB-C connectors. It might not appear to be the most modern, but well, that's what we've got. Then there are the usual papers we've always had. This European regulation sheet provides an estimation of various aspects, such as the level of repairability, the number of charging cycles, and the resistance to falls, among other things. However, this information pertains solely to European data. Ultimately, we arrive at the scenario where, in the true POCO style, we can observe this window on the back cover. We have become quite accustomed to this feature with POCO, and now it seems that the iPhone has almost completely adopted it as well. Well, soon we'll see how the case looks on it. For now, that's what's in the box. Notice there's no charger here. Hopefully some markets will still include it, as that would be a big deal. Let's check out the device, as the bag suggests its high specs, and soon we'll review them one by one. Let's go ahead and take it out of this bag. The device really feels premium. Allow me to remove the sticker from this back cover before we take a closer look at it and observe. It actually looks quite nice and very pretty. I must say I liked it more than the black version of the Ultra model. With its silver frames, it looks extremely nice. Well, we have already configured the device here, so let's take a detailed tour of its specifications. As is typical, it has a thickness of 8 mm and a weight of 199 grams. While it doesn't compete for being the thinnest or lightest device on the market, it remains a device that feels quite comfortable when held in the hand. The rounded corners provide a pleasant feel, even though the body is essentially straight on both the back and the front. In this case, it offers Gorilla Glass 1, unlike the Ultra model, which arrives with little shield glass. So somehow they are giving us to understand that little shield glass should be superior to Gorilla Glass 1. At least that tells us the logic if we see this in a cheaper device, and little shield in the more expensive model should be understood that way, but well, we would have to test it. Like its big brother, it comes with IP68 for water and dust resistance. The screen is 6.9 inches in its diagonal, offering us a MOLD technology, 120 Hz, of course compatible with HDR, in this case with a peak brightness of 30,500 nits when you are watching HDR content, and it can also go down to 190. It's a very advanced display. Looks great initially, feels like a high quality screen. The sound, like the Ultra, is tuned by Bose but lacks the rear speaker, offering only stereo sound with one speaker below and another on top with dual output. Let's see, I'm listening and get the feeling that the bass presence is quite low. I do not like it too much, although it is a symmetrical sound. That is, we have almost the same quality in the speaker and lower than in the top speaker. Unlike most devices that have a much simpler top speaker, here it does give me a feeling of a symmetrical sound, but I insist, the presence of the bass frequencies is really imperceptible. Let me check if by accessing an equalizer here, we can enhance this a little more. Perhaps I would choose an equalizer somewhat similar to this one. I appreciate that there is an EQ option available, as the collaboration with Bose is evident here, but don't assume they are going to be extremely powerful speakers either. The Ultra model indeed offers significantly better sound quality, particularly in terms of bass, thanks to the addition of the rear speaker. Here, the truth is that the experience is good because of the symmetrical sound, but the bass is missed. The front camera is 20 megapixels with f2.22 aperture and fixed focus. There you are seeing more or less what the preview looks like, which is burned in, but after taking the picture, it does balance the highlights and shadows well, although the colors look a little less contrasty than I'd like. It confirms that the front camera remains one of the simplest features of these models. Let's just say it's minimal. Generally, they tend to have competitive devices except for selfies. I believe this trend continues here. For the rear, we have a 50 megapixel main camera with a light fusion 800 sensor sized at 1/1.55 inches. It's remarkably large. The lens has an f-aperture of 1.88 with optical stabilization and autofocus. Then, the 8 megapixel ultra-wide camera with f2.2 aperture and fixed focus. Finally, the 50 megapixel telephoto camera with f2.2 aperture. And a focal length of 60 millimeters, which is about 2.5 times optical zoom. Let's take a quick look. Here you're looking at the ultra-wide camera. Next, the main camera. I like that they seem to keep the same feel of colors and contrast. Then 2x digital zoom, where you still see very good image quality. Next, 5x jumping to the telephoto camera also looks quite nice image. Applying a crop can give you 5x still with optical quality, which looks very nice. So, when you go up to 5x, the quality is quite well covered. In this instance, it allows for a maximum digital zoom of 30x. Regarding video recording, it's important to note that we will have the capability to reach up to 8K at 30 FPS with the main camera or 4K at 60 frames per second. Unfortunately, the ultra-wide camera records only in full at 30 frames per second. It's somewhat limited, but at least it's positive. The main and telephoto cameras can shoot 4K at 60 FPS. While the front camera also notes how it's quite limited, it cannot record in K, confirming what I was telling you, that the front camera does fall a bit short. The battery offers us a capacity of 6,210 mAh with support for 100 watts charging, but in many regions the charger is not included in the box. In this case, it does not support wireless charging, unlike the Ultra model, so that would be a cut, but it does maintain the capacity. It can function as a power bank with a 22.5 watts output, allowing you to charge your friends' cell phones. It's important to note that it also retains the flagship level ultrasonic fingerprint reader, which will definitely be one of its standout features, as this reader does not emit any light and is incredibly fast. Furthermore, it supports recognition, even with a wet finger, exceptionally well. This model also provides access to Wi-Fi 7 networks, allowing for extremely high download speeds. It comes equipped with 12 GB of RAM and offers storage options of either 256 or 512 GB. Additionally, we are discussing the inclusion of LPDDR-X and UFS 4.1 technologies, which ensure the highest possible speed. As usual, the processor is a standout feature in a device from this brand. It's the Snapdragon 8 Elite, delivering impressive power at this price. Here are the benchmark results for reference. In Geekbench, it scored 2,293 points for single core and 8,355 for multi-core. On Antutu, it exceeded 3 million, reaching 30,60,921 points. It's quite powerful in that regard, which is typical. The brand usually offers very powerful phones, though they're becoming more balanced. It has a great design, screen, and sound. The front camera is still somewhat lacking, but to adjust the price this way, some compromises are necessary. However, the rear cameras appear to be excellent and the battery life is impressive. Unfortunately, it doesn't come with a charger, but overall, it's a highly complete and competitive device. So, how would you prefer to use it? Would you keep the case on or would you rather use it without the case? Personally, I wouldn't use the case because I feel the design's aesthetics are significantly diminished with it on. The cover, it looks great. Then you put the case on and it looks terrible. Well, let me know what you think. For the moment, we have reached the end of this video. If you liked it, you know you can tell me, and in the description I'll leave you the links to buy it. See you next time.